Democrats seem to be having this debate whether or not Mayor Mamdani is a socialist or a democratic socialist. Let me settle it. He's a straight-up communist. How do I know this? Well, I'm reading between the lines when one of his major advisors says, elect more communists. Which is fine. It's fine. It's a belief system. He's allowed to believe it, and people are allowed to vote for it. But if liberals deny it, like he's just going through a goth phase, they're going to lose more elections. This is not a communist country.
Bill Maher is cutting straight through the political fog, laying out why the DNC's momentum is unraveling right before our eyes. This time, he didn't dance around the issue. He aimed directly at New York Mayor Zoran Mamdani in a very public, very pointed takedown that left no room for spin.
And finally, new rule, if you're still looking for a New Year's resolution, here's one. Get out of your media bubble. The most frustrating... And finally, new rule, if you're still looking for a New Year's resolution, here's one. Get out of your media bubble. The most frustrating thing that happens to me whenever I'm off is people I run into want me to do my job, which I'm on vacation from, privately in restaurants and at parties, and, well, the bathhouse is a separate situation. But look, I'm happy to share my opinions wherever, except for this. Everybody, left and right, is only half informed.
Mamdani rolled out a slate of sweeping proposals for New York, including aggressive tax hikes and controversial IC-related positions, and it struck a nerve with Maher immediately. The longtime comedian fired back harder than usual, sharper and more direct than we've seen in a while. As always, hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, because we're jumping straight into the real conversation right now.
Now, let me tell you about the story that liberal algorithms locked out. Her name is Sia Weaver. And if you ask anyone in the blue sky bubble who that is, they'll look at you like a turkey looking up at the rain. But she's kind of important in New York, being Major Mamdani's chief of the Office to Protect Tenants, and since Mamdani's big issue is the rent's too damn high, yes, he stole this guy's act. It's a very key appointment in the most important city in the country, which is also our financial center. It matters that the mayor stands by, and so I assume stands with, someone who says things like, if you don't believe in the government's sacred right to seize private property, it's over.
The breaking point came down to 3 words that stopped Maher cold. Seize private property. That phrase didn't come from a protest chant or a fringe activist online. It came from Mamdani's top lieutenant. To Maher, that wasn't a mistake or a slip. It was a warning siren. He spent years cautioning that elevating Mamdani could drag New York toward a far more state-controlled economic model. And now he believes that prediction is unfolding in real time. This isn't a routine policy disagreement in Maher's eyes. It's an ideological shift where theory starts bulldozing common-sense governance. And once that line gets crossed, Maher doesn't whisper. He unloads. What followed wasn't just a critique of Mamdani, but a moment that sent shockwaves through the DNC itself.
Seize private property. Home ownership is racist. Elect more communists. Private property, especially home ownership, is a weapon of white supremacy. Really? Even among the 20 million black Americans who own their own home? I mean, these are the kind of utterances I might forgive as something a dumb white girl said while she was at Bryn Mawr. Because it's the kind of privilege hating you can only learn for $95,000 a year. But these are statements made as an adult. Yes, for co-eds from elite private colleges, you're only a lesbian until graduation, but the communism lasts a lifetime.
Maher's frustration deepened when Mamdani suggested that home ownership itself was tied to white supremacy. That claim didn't just sound extreme to him. It sounded careless. This wasn't someone without access to education or research. Mamdani attended an elite university known for evidence-based reasoning and critical thinking. Maher's point was simple. If you're given that kind of education, the least you can do is apply it responsibly. Instead, he watched academic language get stripped of nuance and repurposed into activist slogans. To Maher, that wasn't progressivism. It was intellectual malpractice. When ideology replaces analysis, education stops serving its purpose. That's what truly set him off. Not disagreement, but the abandonment of logic in favor of talking points that lower the quality of debate.
You know, I am in support of abolishing ICE, and I'll tell you why. Because what we see is an entity that has no interest in fulfilling its stated reason to exist. We're seeing a government agency that is supposed to be enforcing some kind of immigration law, but instead what it's doing is terrorizing people no matter their immigration status, no matter the facts of the law, no matter the facts of the case. And I'm tired of waking up every day and seeing a new image of someone being dragged out of a car, dragged out of their home, dragged out of their life. What we need to see is humanity.
Maher also took aim at how Mamdani and much of the left-leaning media have framed ICE in almost cartoonishly extreme terms. In his view, the agency has become a political prop instead of something examined honestly. Headlines often scream abuse and outrage, only for later court rulings or investigations to quietly walk those claims back. But those corrections never travel as far as the initial outrage. That imbalance drives Maher up the wall. He isn't arguing that ICE is flawless. He's arguing that distortion has overtaken truth. When enforcement agencies are automatically cast as villains, serious policy discussion collapses. Everything turns into emotional theater instead of fact-based debate. That style of politics feeds on fear, exaggeration, and selective storytelling, and that's exactly what lights Maher's fuse.
Democrats seem to be having this debate whether or not Mayor Mamdani is a socialist or a democratic socialist. Let me settle it. He's a straight-up communist. How do I know this? Well, I'm reading between the lines when one of his major advisors says, elect more communists. Which is fine. It's fine. It's a belief system. He's allowed to believe it, and people are allowed to vote for it. But if liberals deny it, like he's just going through a goth phase, they're going to lose more elections. This is not a communist country.
Interestingly, Maher says his anger isn't really aimed at Mamdani himself. It's directed at the factions inside the DNC who refuse to call out what he's doing. In Maher's view, the deeper danger isn't the radicals pushing extreme ideas. It's the moderates who know better and stay silent. That silence, he argues, is how fringe politics spreads unchecked. We've seen this pattern before. When mainstream liberals refused to confront excesses within woke culture, choosing unity over honesty, credibility took a hit. Voters noticed. Trust eroded. Now Maher believes the same cycle is repeating. Extreme ideas get normalized while responsible voices disappear, leaving the party drifting further from reality.
This is the pendulum never lands in the middle problem I'm always bitching about. Really, the choices we get here are either the worst version of crony capitalism or communism, either a side deal for the Trump family every time he does business overseas, or the lady who says, impoverish the white middle class. Oh yeah, there's a great campaign slogan for you. Honestly, as New York mayoral races go, I was less creeped out by Anthony Weiner's dick.
Maher is genuinely unsettled by what he sees as Mamdani's hard-left posture. He admits he never thought the party could push itself further after fully embracing woke culture. He assumed that moment would force reflection and recalibration. Instead, leadership leaned even harder into it. That's what shocks him most. Maher now says he overestimated the party's willingness to return to the center. Rather than learning from voter backlash, leaders doubled down, turning fringe ideas into mainstream platforms. To Maher, that isn't progress. It's ideological amnesia. And the longer the party avoids that truth, the more disconnected it becomes from everyday Americans. Now, Listen closely as Mamdani outlines one of his most controversial proposals.
These are programs for every single New Yorker. These are not programs that are going to ask the immigration status of any one of the children. All of those children are New Yorkers. They should all be enrolled in pre-K and 3K, no matter where they were born or where they come from. And we are also proud to be a sanctuary city. What a sanctuary city means is that we have policies in place, policies that have existed for years in this city, that deny ICE agents access into schools, hospitals, city properties, or even the properties of city contractors, unless those ICE agents can present a judicial warrant signed by a judge.
The concern becomes obvious when immigration and homelessness enter the conversation. Critics warn New York may be on the verge of repeating a story California has lived for decades. Policies launched with good intentions slowly overwhelmed public systems, crushed housing markets, and stretched social services beyond capacity. Mamdani's pledge to provide free healthcare and benefits regardless of immigration status has alarm bells ringing. Supporters call it compassionate. Critics see unsustainable incentives. Maher points out that New York is already under immense pressure from housing shortages, hospital strain, and affordability crises. Expanding eligibility could accelerate those problems dramatically. For him, this isn't empathy versus cruelty. It's realism versus denial.
It is the dead of winter, another snowstorm is coming, and homeless encampments are still a critical problem in Mayor Mamdani's New York. So how is the mayor going to deal with it? Political reporter Marcia Kramer took her questions to Mamdani in this story that you will see here only on CBS News New York.
They are an eyesore. CBS News New York discovering homeless encampments, 2 on the Upper West Side, 2 in Hell's Kitchen, with many wondering how the new mayor will deal with the twin problems of finding a humane solution and optics that make it look like the city is out of control. This man, afraid to show his face, says he's called 311 repeatedly about the 2 encampments on West 45th Street.
They take the call like they're supposed to, but nothing's really happening.
How do you feel about the fact that nothing's happening?
Well, I don't feel good about it because I've been in this neighborhood for 3 decades.
Homelessness is already placing enormous strain on a city that once symbolized opportunity. Even major outlets have documented the rise in encampments, overcrowded shelters, and stretched resources. Streets that once thrived now signal policy failure. And this isn't unfamiliar territory. California has lived this cycle for years. Exploding housing costs, persistent homelessness, and massive spending with little visible improvement. That's why critics are uneasy. They've seen this movie before. Maher's warning is simple. Ignoring reality doesn't solve a crisis. It allows it to grow.
Mr. Mayor, I wondered if you could indulge me for a second. So I took the problem to the mayor himself, showing him video of people camped on the street in such frigid weather. What is your office going to do about it, and is it acceptable, given the fact that it's 21 degrees, for these people to be there on the street, on the Upper West Side, and getting no help?
It is not acceptable for a New Yorker to have to find shelter outside, whether on the Upper West Side or anywhere in this city. New Yorkers should be able to find a place to call their home. And what I have said consistently, first as a candidate and now as the mayor, is that outcomes are how we judge ourselves.
Mamdani has made clear he won't pursue forced removals of homeless individuals, favoring a voluntary approach instead. On paper, it sounds humane. In practice, critics note it mirrors policies California already tried with limited success. Governor Gavin Newsom's approach relied on voluntary participation, but encampments continued to expand despite billions spent. That's why Maher remains skeptical. Good intentions don't guarantee outcomes. When enforcement disappears, accountability often does too. The concern now is that New York is preparing to repeat California's costly experiment, recycling policies while expecting different results.
If you're still looking for a New Year's resolution, here's one. Get out of your media bubble. The most frustrating thing that happens to me whenever I'm off is people I run into want me to do my job, which I'm on vacation from, privately in restaurants and at parties, and, well, the bathhouse is a separate situation. But look, I'm happy to share my opinions wherever, except for this. Everybody, left and right, is only half informed.
Maher closes by urging people across the political spectrum to step outside their media bubbles and actually listen to opposing views. His warning is especially pointed at the left, where disagreement is often treated as betrayal. That kind of isolation, he argues, breeds confident misinformation. Facts get filtered through ideology instead of reason. Democracy can't survive on curated outrage and algorithm-driven echo chambers. Real understanding requires debate, challenge, and discomfort. But modern politics rewards loyalty over curiosity. The result is a culture where narratives beat truth. Until that changes, Maher warns the cycle will continue. And with that, we wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.